If you have ever stood at the edge of Nguyen Hue Pedestrian Street on a warm weekend evening, you know the exact feeling of Saigon's energy. There is this electric buzz in the air, the smell of street food, the sound of laughter. But if you look just a few hundred meters ahead, toward the Saigon River, there is a sudden disruption. You are blocked by a chaotic, seemingly endless river of motorbikes and cars rushing down Ton Duc Thang Street. It is like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking at a beautiful beach you cannot quite reach without risking your life in a real-life game of Frogger.
That is such a perfect way to put it. Crossing that road to get to Bach Dang Wharf has always felt like an extreme sport. You have to wait for the tiniest gap in traffic, make eye contact with oncoming riders, and just pray everyone agrees on the physics of slowing down. It is a massive physical and psychological barrier right in the heart of the city. But that is all about to change, and in a way that I think is going to completely redefine how we experience the downtown area.
Right, we are talking about the upcoming pedestrian bridge across the Saigon River. When I first heard about this project, I thought, okay, cool, another piece of infrastructure to ease pedestrian flow. But looking at the designs and the philosophy behind it, this is not just a walkway. It feels like a massive shift in how the city views itself.
Absolutely. It is an architectural statement. The design is inspired by the nipa palm leaf, which is incredibly symbolic for southern Vietnam. If you look at the renderings, it curves and sways across the water like a flowing silk ribbon. It does not just connect point A to point B, it integrates the two banks. On one side, you have the historical, dense, high-energy core of District 1. On the other, you have the rising, futuristic skyline of the Thu Thiem new urban area. The bridge acts as a physical and visual suture, joining these two very different eras of the city.
I love that image of a silk ribbon. But let's dig into the practical side of this. When we talk about urban design, a bridge like this changes the daily habits of thousands of people. Right now, NGUYEN HUE and Bach Dang Wharf are essentially destinations. You go there, you hang out, and then you leave. What happens when they are no longer dead ends, but part of a continuous loop?
That is where the magic of walkability comes in. In urban planning, there is this concept of active transport. When you make walking seamless and pleasant, people choose to walk. Imagine starting your morning on Le Loi, walking down Nguyen Hue, crossing over the river on this beautifully shaded bridge, and ending up in a brand new park in Thu Thiem. You have suddenly expanded the walkable footprint of the city center by a massive margin. It turns a fragmented city into a continuous narrative.
And that narrative has a huge economic impact too. We often talk about the night economy in Southeast Asian cities. Saigon is a city that truly comes alive after the sun goes down because, let's face it, the daytime heat is no joke. How do you see this bridge influencing the nocturnal life of the city?
Think about the flow of foot traffic. Currently, the commercial energy is heavily concentrated on the District 1 side. By creating a beautiful, iconic pathway over the water, you are essentially pulling that crowd across the river. It opens up massive opportunities for night markets, outdoor art installations, pop-up cafes, and street performances on both sides. The bridge itself will become a destination. People will go there just to watch the sunset, look back at the glittering lights of Bitexco and Landmark 81, and feel the breeze off the water. It is going to be a gold mine for the local creative and service industries.
It sounds amazing, but I want to play devil's advocate for a second. Saigon has a very specific charm that comes from its informal spaces. I am thinking of the classic Vietnamese culture of sitting on plastic stools or directly on the pavement, sipping a cheap coffee, watching the world go by. When we build these massive, ultra-modern, world-class landmarks, is there a risk of losing that raw, authentic energy? Do we risk sanitizing the very soul of the city?
The bridge balances modernization and preservation by replacing heavy traffic on Ton Duc Thang with a large pedestrian zone, restoring public space. This safe, beautiful area allows authentic culture to thrive, people playing music, street vendors, and friends gathering, without the noise and pollution from cars.
That is a fair point. It is about democratization of space. In many rapidly developing cities, the best views and the best waterfront locations are privatized, turned into luxury hotels or high-end apartments. A public pedestrian bridge is a statement that the river belongs to everyone, not just those who can afford a penthouse view.
The bridge is a public space with stunning design, featuring multiple levels, viewing platforms, and integrated greenery. It feels like a floating park, turning the commute from Thu Thiem to District 1 into a peaceful experience surrounded by plants and water, instead of being stuck in traffic.
You know, it makes me think about how we perceive distance, and psychologically, Thu Thiem has always felt like a completely different world to many Saigonese. It is across the river. Even though it is physically very close, that water barrier makes it feel distant. When you can walk across a bridge in 5 or 10 minutes, that mental barrier dissolves. The river ceases to be a divider and becomes a central plaza that brings people together.
Historically, rivers divided territories or transported goods, but modern cities see them as centers of social connection. Like the Seine in Paris or the Thames in London, bridges unite the city. This bridge will help Ho Chi Minh City embrace its river as a central feature, transforming Saigon's relationship with the water.
It really feels like we are witnessing the birth of a new era for the city. It makes me wonder what the next steps will be. Once this bridge is complete, does it set a precedent? Will we see more pedestrianisation in other parts of the city?
I hope so too. When people enjoy a walkable downtown, they want it in other places. It changes how we think about street space. Why should cars take most of it when life happens on sidewalks? This could inspire designing neighborhoods with more trees, shade, and walking paths instead of parking in wide lanes.
It is an exciting vision of the future. A city that moves a bit slower, where we actually have time to look at each other and appreciate the environment we are in, rather than just rushing through it. It is a reminder that progress does not always mean faster cars. Sometimes it means better walks.
Beautifully said. At the end of the day, a city is not just a collection of buildings and roads. It is a collection of shared experiences. And this bridge is going to be the stage for millions of new stories, first dates, morning runs, and quiet moments of reflection, looking out over the water. It is a gift to the future of Saigon.
Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion today. It is fascinating to think about how a single architectural project can ripple out and touch so many aspects of our lives, from our daily commutes to our cultural identity. As Saigon continues to grow and evolve, it is projects like this that remind us of the city's incredible capacity to reinvent itself while holding on to its warm, welcoming soul. The next time you find yourself dodging traffic near the riverfront, just look out over the water and imagine what is coming. The future is just a short walk away. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next journey.